All right, guys. So we're back. It's after the 4th. Hope everyone has their fingers and toes and everything else after the 4th. It's a few days after. Nothing crazy here. As you can see, I got the chest matched up with the base, the lower body half here. Turned out really well. It was got to do a little cleanup, but I got it all one piece. I took care of the mold lines, or the joint line, I should say. That was here. I used some sprue goo and thinned it out. So it looks good there. Got the legs kind of cleaned up. Got the armor pieces in there. Next steps we're going to do is we need to trim off some legs here to get those to fit. The right leg especially, and then some pieces of the left to get it more in line. I ended up deciding on the sword. Gonna take a piece from my inner circle, Dark Angel's inner circle. Got one of the Carbonite great swords. I love the look of it, and so took one from there. So I'm not sure exactly what kind of slashing across the chest here. I think I'm going to keep it separate from the body to paint, so I can get both the details of the body and the arms there. But I think I'm going to keep it pretty much right across chest, like he's slicing across the chest there. Kind of like that. Yeah. Anyway, haven't decided on the head yet. I know the actual judiciar has a like muffle around his face and all that. Plan is to get, once I get the backpack on, I'm gonna green stuff some candles, I think. I have some 3D printed ones that I think are going to be too big for it. I actually wanted to check out the scale of that to see if it's going to be the right size or not. I saw a tutorial about how to make them with some, polystyrene rods and green stuff, which I thought was pretty cool. But I have some 3D printed ones. Let me grab those 1 second. So here's the 3D printed candles I have, and they look. Let me grab an individual one. Comparison wise, I think they just look too large. Now, the gentleman I purchased this from, I've done a unboxing with him before. Mungo's Marvelous Miniatures on Etsy. He will, if you email him, he will adjust the size based on what you want. And I think I am going to do that and say, hey, can we drop these down like 50% or so? And I think that would definitely help. Because like next to the, like on a base, that doesn't look half bad. But like to put them on top of a backpack, it doesn't look right. at all. So yeah, so I think we're going to do that. Or like I mentioned before, we'll probably end up using the green stuff method. And I'm just combining the bags here instead of having 2 separate bags of candles. So we'll do the green stuff in the styrene method, and I'll show you guys how I do that, because it'll be a first time for me. And I also have that I had ordered up were these Dark Angel specific pauldrons, 3D printed, with the sword and shield. So I can put those on them for for all my Dark Angels. I got a whole bunch of them. So I don't quite have to, some of them where it's, just the Primaris Marines, the Intercessors, and all those, I don't have to just have blank shoulders or the decals, decals, whichever way you want to say it. We can have the pauldron on it, so that's going to look real nice. For that, I ordered that one online. Yeah, so things are starting to come together. Just kind of taking a break from, if you've been watching the videos and stuff, just kind of reigniting my passion, doing some of my Dark Angel stuff, just to, reignite that fuel. Kind of gotten burned out on painting the Tyranids, so I'm just taking a break from that for a little moment here. And putting this guy together to reignite that passion, and so I can continue on and not get totally burned out, and do this stuff. So yeah, so let's get working here. It's looking like we're gonna have to chop off a lot of this leg here. So get my other nippers here. If you've watched me before, I use 2 sets. My Giuseppe nippers I use for fine cutting. Maybe we'll use, I got some pair Citadel nippers. I've never used these before. Oh wow, that's pretty horrible. There we go. I got these with the Combat Patrol mail set. I've never used these before, so let's see how these do. Wow, that really distorted the plastic. I mean, granted, I was going through a thick piece, but yeah. Alright, so that whole knee joint's got to come off. Yeah, it's not really cutting, it's just pressing. So I'm going to get my Tamiya nippers that I normally use. These are very sharp, and do a great job going through. See the difference there? Going through that plastic. Where these are just squeezing the plastic, this actually cut through the plastic. And these are like hot knife through butter and plastic. but I don't want to damage. You can see how thin those blades are. I don't want to damage those with the basic butchery I have to do here. So without that kneecap, this fits up there very nicely with a lot of play. So I can put that in wherever I want to in there. So let's get the other leg going. Again, we're going to take part of this knee off, this thigh. There we go. So now it's just going to be a matter of where do I want the foot to stand here? So probably we'll start with this left foot. Probably right about there. So yeah, so I'm going to put some sprue goo on here. A generous dollop. Because this is going to catch inside of the cloak slash, I'll call it a skirt, for lack of a better term, up inside. Put up here in frame. And then if you guys can see in there where it's kind of catching, I'm going to add some Tamiya extra thin to the edges where just the piece is touching. So while that sprue goo starts setting up and doing its thing, I can kind of have it temporarily holding on with that extra thin. To give it a little bit of support. And then I'm going to, on this one, let me zoom back out here. I'm going to put this one up against the edge. Like he's got kind of a wide stance, especially if he's going to be swinging that greatsword. So we're going to add some sprue goo here to this edge. If you don't remember, sprue goo is just melted down sprue with that Tamiya extra thin. So it's not like a product you can go out and buy. You make it yourself. And I'm just eyeballing to make sure the feet are kind of flush here. Looking pretty good. Stand them up down there. There we go. So I have to smooth out those little nubbies there after he's cured. So we got those there. Not looking too bad. He's a little forward facing. He's got a little slight lean forward, but we can fix that with posing and the base and everything. But yeah, so there we go, moving along. And we'll let this cure for a while. Let the sprue glue secure it. And then we'll keep moving forward, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't quite, help out everything, but it just helps me out. All right. Talk to you later, guys.